Ladies and gentlemen, hate crimes are up in the U.S. 16-year high. We're not surprised. With Trump coming into office, this was pretty much encouraged. So, this is why you are seeing everything go through the roof. There was recently another mass shooting in California, 2 dead, I think 4 injured. These things are not shocking. America has been violent since its inception. So, why are you really trying to point at everybody else talking about violence? This country, you couldn't point to one era in this country where it wasn't violent, you know, and you got those that are trying to point to one community where all the violence is coming from. But when you look at things like the school shootings and many of the other shootings going on in the country, we keep seeing your face though. Boy, what a joke. But when has America been accountable for anything? Never. Never. And they're not going to become accountable in these last hours either, ladies and gentlemen. This is just the nature of the beast. Hate crime violence hits 16-year high, FBI reports. This is the New York Times. Personal attacks motivated by bias or prejudice reach a 16-year high in 2018, the FBI said Tuesday, with a significant upswing in violence against Latinos outpacing a drop in assaults targeting Muslims and Arab Americans. Overall, the number of hate crimes of all kinds reported in the United States remained fairly flat last year after a 3-year increase, according to an annual FBI report. But while crimes against property were down, physical assaults against people were up, accounting for 61% of the 7,120 incidents classified as hate crimes by law enforcement officials nationwide. State and local police forces are not required to report hate crimes to the FBI, but the Bureau has made a significant effort in recent years to increase awareness and response rates. So it's probably way more than the 7,000 that they have reported, because if they're not required to report this, then these are not true numbers. See, like I told you guys before, when it comes down to reporting any kind of numbers, this is probably the most untruthful place on the face of the earth. They don't tell the truth in any of their numbers. Whenever you see a number in America, just understand they are lowballing the number. This is what they have done all throughout history. So if the police don't have to report these hate crimes, then the numbers are never going to be accurate. Plain and simple. They're never going to be accurate. Still, many cities and some entire states failed to collect or report the data last year, limiting the conclusions that can be drawn from the FBI's report. So the report is never going to be accurate. It's probably way higher than what they're telling you. In addition, experts say that more than half of all victims of hate crimes ever filed a complaint with the authorities in the first place. Well, many of them are afraid. Maybe that's why they're not reporting it. They're afraid. You don't get much protection in this country. Law enforcement is too busy shooting unarmed people to protect people that really need it. They're not concerned about the people that really need protection. They're too busy shooting a bunch of unarmed people that are no threat whatsoever, or bothering somebody eating a damn sandwich on a subway platform. They're too busy concerning themselves with petty shit. Even so, the FBI said there were 4,571 reported hate crimes against people in 2018. Many of them in America's largest cities, involving victims from a wide range of ethnic and religious backgrounds. The trend shows more violence, more interpersonal violence, and I think that's probably reliable, said James Nolan, a former FBI crime analyst who helped oversee the National Hate Crime Data Collection Program from 1995 to 2000. Well, how can it be accurate when none of the other numbers are accurate? All these people are just woo and think we should continue to take them seriously. Woo. The FBI defines a hate crime as a criminal offense against a person or property motivated in whole or in part by the offender's bias against race, religion, disability, sexual orientation, ethnicity, gender, or gender identity. Boy, all of these damn new terms. Victims of hate crimes can include institution, religious organizations, and government entities, as well as individuals. Here are the big takeaways from the report. Vandalism is down, but assaults are up. 4,571 attacks against people tallied by the Bureau for 2018 included aggravated assaults, which were up 4%, simple assaults up 15%, and intimidation up 13%. These trends happen despite a national decline in violent crimes in general and coincide with a 19% drop in bias-driven property crimes. The data points towards a change from young people committing vandalism and other property crimes towards more deliberate attacks on people, which we see on video all the time, y'all. All the time. Said Brian Levin, the director of the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism at California State University, San Bernardino, who produced an independent analysis of the FBI figures. We're seeing a shift from the more casual offender with more shallow prejudices to a bit more of an older assailant who acts alone, Mr. Levin said. There's a diversifying base of groups that are being targeted. We're getting back to more violence. And they're blaming a lot of the attacks on Latinos to the immigration situation going on in the country. I like how they conveniently left us out in most of the story, and we know most of those attacks happen to us. They don't hardly happen mostly to Muslims, Latinos, and Arabs. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Y'all, this whole article right now, New York Times, you really suck. I really hope you're listening. You have excluded the most oppressed group of people in the nation in this article, and you know it. This is a deliberate act you did, New York Times. You suck. Robert McCall, the group's director of governmental affairs, said that while awareness and reporting of hate crimes have improved, daily acts of bullying and discriminations in schools, workplaces, and in public are not included in the FBI analysis. So all these phone bandits that are coming up on you like some slithering demon and making those phone calls over a bunch of nothing, they are not included. They really should be included in hate crime. That is a form of hate crime. They're only approaching you over your race and trying to kick up some dirt with you over your race. It is not for any other reason. Okay. All right, so they said they focused on the most violent crimes. We don't know the full scope of anti-Muslim hate crimes and other hate crimes, he said. Hate crimes against Latinos were at their highest level since 2010. when the unemployment rate and border crossings from Mexico were both peaking. Some advocates placed the blame for the rise on President Trump. There's a direct correlation between the hate speech and fear mongering coming from President Trump and the right wing of the Republican Party with the increased attacks on Latinos, said Domingo Garcia, the national president of the League of United Latin American Citizens. Mr. Garcia said that immigration had replaced terrorism as the boogeyman for the American right and predicted that the rise in hate crime would not stop until the harsh rhetoric against Latinos had ended. No, racism against people in America never ends. Y'all better get used to it. Although nationwide FBI data for the 2019 for all of 2019 won't be available until next November. That's right. Everything is always reported a year behind. And then when they come out with the reports, they give you bogus numbers. Unbelievable. Make you wait and then give you phony numbers. The Center for Study of Hate and Extremism examined hate crime reports so far this year in New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, and found that all three cities, plus the nation capital, appear to be headed for decade highs. Hate crimes against Asian Americans, African Americans, and Muslims are down in New York, the center said, but the reports of anti Semitic hate crimes are driving the overall total. I don't believe that. I'm just saying, I don't believe it. Of the 364 hate crimes reported in New York, November 3rd, the center said 148 Jewish people. Okay, so 148 of the hate crimes that were reported, they are claiming were Jewish people. But that's not the majority of 364. Boy, this must be some high IQ math they're doing. There were 295 hate crimes reported in the city over the comparable periods in 2018. The surge of attacks on the Jewish community. Okay, so they're just talking about the synagogue attacks, but I don't see how that's a big increase. But maybe it is. I don't know. I would have to look at the previous years of their attacks on synagogues. The severity of these incidents seem to be increasing in both their aggressiveness and physicality. I don't know. In Los Angeles, 249 hate crimes were reported in the first 9 months of 2019, up from 217 in the same period last year. And Chicago had reported 77 hate crimes through early November, compared to 78 for the whole of 2018. Most places reported 0 hate crimes to FBI. Remember, but that's not unusual. You said they're not required to report these hate crimes. So how can you really say it's down or it's the same among a certain group, but went up against a whole different group? I don't see how you can accurately say that's the case when everybody is not required to report their numbers. You can't go by what they're providing here. You really can't. They're saying it's the Jews, but if everybody is not reporting their numbers, how do you know that is the case? And there's a lot of things that happens to the Black community and they don't want to even report it or acknowledge it as a hate crime. We know that too. All right, so I just think that these numbers they're putting out are all bogus. If states and cities are not required to report it, then these numbers are all bogus. Okay, so they're saying no hate crimes were reported by any law enforcement agency in Alabama or Wyoming. Alabama, and there was no hate crime. Y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop for real. Y'all need to stop. I know people that live down in Alabama and they said it's racist as hell down there. There ain't no way. They are not reporting it. Plain and simple. Nolan said the spottiness of the data does not invalidate attempts to determine which type of hate crimes are on the rise, though. All crimes are underreported. That's right. So all these numbers you're providing in this article, New York Times, is bullshit. It doesn't make them useless that they're underreported, he said. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I don't agree with this person. Nolan is wrong. He's wrong. The numbers are useless if you did not collect the data from all of the states and cities where these crimes occurred. It is useless. It's not even it's useless. And if you don't have all the numbers, then you don't know which group was the most impacted. I believe it's the Black community. It's always been us. But being that these numbers are not reported, it's going to look like it's pointing to another group. That's what makes your numbers useless. You have to be savvy enough to look at the trend lines and see the trends. It tells you something about what's going on. No, Nolan, you are wrong. But see, they'll put somebody like him up as an expert, and he's wrong. And so is the New York Times for putting this out. And you did not accurately report on all of the groups, and you damn near excluded the Black community. And there's no way we got through 2018 with no hate crimes towards us. Try again, New York Times. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.